all of a sudden there was this really fun story that we've been talking about and reading, and we found the gentleman who was part of that story. This is Johnny Wright. Nice to have you here, sir.
Oh, nice.
Now you've been around Des Moines for a few years. You've done some radio others, but tell the story. Tell me how you came up with an idea and what exactly happened.
Well, the idea was on a bucket list of mine for some time, and I thought, you know, all of us give at one time or another, particularly this time of the year.
Right.
And often that giving is very anonymous. And the people who give, can they be acknowledged? Can they be honored too somehow and still acknowledge the plight of the people that we're trying to serve and take care of? And so this seemed to be a confluence of ideas, a way to acknowledge the people who give and also bring focus on, you know, homelessness, which is kind of what this is all about. So that's how it started.
That's an interesting thing to have on a bucket list, is to, like, we'll get more into it, but you posed as basically as a homeless person on the side of the road?
I did. I put on a really worn out Iowa State sweatshirt.
Hey, for Iowa State today. Love it.
Right.
Thanks.
All right, and I'm kind of ashamed to say I wear this a lot, actually, still.
It's comfortable.
It wasn't a stretch, really.
That's right. It really wasn't, actually.
And you've been in broadcasting, so you know about being poor.
That's
so
right. I know. I could feel. You know, as I wrote on a Facebook post when I talked about this, you know, I've never been homeless, but I know what it feels like to feel like you cannot go home. Huh. And I think all of us at one time in our lives probably kind of understand that. And so it's that connection of grief and also joy and pain and euphoria that connects all of us, unites us. And so I think this, with social media, really plays a role in this too, of course.
So what'd you write on the cardboard?
It said need, it said thank you at the bottom. It said need help, thank you, or something. I can't remember.
All right, so once really people gave you money, you did something different by sending back a letter.
I did. I made 50 copies of this in this letter, and it was basically acknowledging the fact that they were giving and the fact that I wasn't homeless. I made it really clear to people that I wasn't homeless. In fact, I owned a business and everything else, and it was a way to thank them. There was money in each of the envelopes.
Different amounts?
Correct. There was $10 and 45 of them, and then in another 5 there was a $100 bill.
Wow.
And so I handed those out as people gave me money.
So they didn't read them right away, or did they go on?
No, and people started to, and some people probably threw them out, thinking there was, you know, rice in them or something, or, you know, parents going to blow up or something, right? So some people may have thrown out, you know, I don't know the story of that, but enough people did, and people started posting the letters on their Facebook pages, and that's sort of how the anonymity went away.
Did anyone come back to you and like thank you or tell you what they did with the money?
There was a couple in Ames, and I spent a couple hours in Des Moines and then a couple hours in Ames doing this on a Christmas Eve afternoon, and a couple had donated $5, and then I gave them the envelope, and about 15 minutes later they came back and handed me a $50 bill. And so they'd read the letter, and they kind of understood what was going on, and it motivated them to give even more.
And all of this to help?
To help the Bethel Mission. My mother spoke highly of the Bethel Mission when I was growing up, and my mother took her own life in 1990, and part of that journey for me from that moment to this moment is understanding that we were put on this earth to take care of each other.
Right.
And so, and in her name and in her honor, and it was part of the reason that motivated me to do this too. So.
What were the expressions you were getting as you were asking people for money? Do people ignore you? Do some look? Do some feel sorry?
It's a great point, because I started to feel there was a shame level that came with it.
Sure.
You know, I was afraid to sort of look people in the eye, but after I gave them the envelope, I felt more empowered.
Right.
I kind of felt more like myself. It brought me back to reality. But after you stand out in the cold for a couple hours, you start to get a sense of what it must be like, the helplessness. I mean, more people drove by than stopped.
Right.
And so after a while, that starts to take a toll.
Now, you're a sales guy. Is there a certain tactic? Like when I used to knock on doors, if I saw the little hole go from light to dark, I'd wave and they'd open the door every time. Were there certain tactics that helped get people?
Did I look plaintive enough? Did I look woeful? I look pretty woeful, not shaven and everything. And no, I just stood there, and that was it.
Did you get hassled at all?
No, except an off-duty police officer stopped by and reminded me that it is illegal in Polk County to panhandle, which is why I eventually left and went to Story County. I called Story County Police non-emergency number and asked them before I went to Ames, is it legal to panhandle in Ames? She said, sure, as long as you don't impede traffic.
Yeah, I think safety would
see.
be the other concern.
Absolutely, right.
Any fun stories from the social media aspect of it, how it kind of went viral?
I think the most powerful story is that the first envelope I gave had a $100 bill in it, and I had set it up that way in Des Moines. And so the first person to give was a woman named Maria. And Maria, it turns out, only had $16 to her name. And I found this out because she texted me. My phone number was on the letter. And there's a little controversy about that. But anyway, she texted me and told me that she had $16. Her family was from the Philippines, and that she saw me on the side of the road and wanted to give. So she gives $1 to me and donuts that she had purchased.
Wow.
And it turns out that she got $100 back, and she was tears, just tears.
That's right out of the Bible, that story.
Yeah,
You know.
it is.
Yeah.
It's out of our hearts, you know, it's
Yeah.
out of the human potential to give and to keep giving and to pay it forward. And that's the power, I think, of this, that it has moved people in ways I don't think I ever could have imagined, to give in their own way, whatever that way is.
And what a cool bucket list. What's your next
I was
bucket
going to say,
list?
I was just going to ask that. That's the most interesting thing to put on a bucket list. What else is on this list?
You know what? I have, I played the piano when I was a child, and I have an old piano sitting in a storage room in Huxley, Iowa, and I'm going to have it renovated, and I'm going to donate it to the elementary school where I went to school. That's the next thing on my bucket list.
What-
So.
Well, let's have you change hats and put a plug in for what you do, you know, the other 364 days of the year.
Well, I have a company called the Biosphere, and it is a customer service training company that is predominantly works with the auto repair industry. And one of your good people that you know is on this show quite frequently, Mr. Ron Haugen of Westside Auto Pros, is a client. Stivers Ford Lincoln is a local client. But what we teach to our the people we train is the idea that we are powered by emotions and not thought. And so to reach out to people emotionally and engage them emotionally, and then everything else will fall into place. So there's a lot of principles of what happened on Christmas Eve that are sort of we use as part of the fabric of our training.
Now, would you ever do anything like this again? Or you've done it, you've experienced it, it's time to find other facilities of giving back?
Right. You know what? I don't know if I could do it every year until somebody said, hey, you're the guy that's dressing up as a homeless guy. Get out of here.
I saw you on Green Day.
That's
Or
right,
Jackie
every
has you
day.
on the traffic reports. Hey, hurry, give them back money.
This is where the envelopes are located. Go, go, go. Or do you encourage other people to maybe have an experience like this? Now, you're not necessarily, maybe giving money back, but
Right.
just to live in those shoes.
Well, a gentleman from Dubuque has texted me and said, I want to use this idea, I'm going to borrow it, I'm going to use it in our city, and he sort of modified it for himself. I want to do, I have clients in cities around the country, and so we're actually going to do this in some other cities and see if we can't sort of stir
Spread the
things
word.
up a little bit.
Right, yeah.
And get
Spread the
people
word.
thinking
What
and spread
a
the word.
positive, fun story for our final 2013 last hour. Johnny, it's a pleasure meeting you. Congratulations. An absolutely great idea that, as you said, have gone viral. Johnny Wright, person who actually was on the side of the road as a homeless person, but then gave back and wanted to pay it forward. Have a great day. Have a great
you.
2014.
Thank you
It's
so
a pleasure
much.
having you on.
Thank you so much.
Let's pause for just a second. We've got more coming your way. You're watching Great Day. It's 9:30 in the morning.